because it's a pretty long story about what happened to me 3 years ago. It's a pretty long story, so I think that I'm going to separate it into before, during, and after, so you can get a full view of what God has brought me through and how far I've come and just what God is doing in my life. So you can get a full view of that. So I'm going to do it in 3 parts. So this video is going to be the before. Okay, my story starts, I don't know where I want to start at. Let's see. So I was a freshman in college. I'm a senior now, thankfully. Let's see. I guess I could start with a guy. Most of these stories always start with a guy. So I met this certain guy on, I want to say I met him on Line or on some app or whatever. It was through social media. And I'm not going to trash him. I just think that he would say certain things to me that were rude and whatever. And I was, at the time, I was just needing, you know how you're searching yourself and you're searching spirituality and everything. And so I just wanted to be like everybody else. I wanted, because, you know, everybody's talking to somebody, and at the time I was not talking to anybody. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll talk to this guy or whatever. So we started talking, and the guy is very rude to me. He calls me names. He calls me names, and then he doesn't want me to be friends with certain people or whatever. So basically, he was verbally abusive to me for a pretty good amount of time. So not only am I going through this verbal abuse, I'm just in my first semester of college, so, you know, that's very stressful. And I also lived on campus, so living on campus was a whole new thing for me too. And I was not really talking to my family that much, because when you're in a tight-winded family, your family is very much needed. And taking too many classes, and you know, all that's going on. And so and it's really hard to adjust, and so he caused me to have or at least I wasn't strong enough in my faith to where he was causing me to believe the things that he was saying to me. So when I started believing these things, it would just make me feel, I was like, I don't know, I was on the phone crying over to him or in other situations. But and there's another guy that comes into this story, but I don't know if I'm going to talk about him too. But he was basically he was really, really nice to me, and he's a good friend. He was a good friend to me, and, you know, of course, things didn't really work out. Well, you know how that is. But anyway, and I don't know if I'm going to share that part or not. But he was really, really, I would have to say that he's what kept me still sane, like, because I could have gone way, way earlier. But anyway, after that, I'm feeling bad about myself. So I'm low self-esteem and everything. It's really horrible. And so I would have the other guy to combat that stuff. But sometimes, you know, so I would basically say I was sleeping 90% of the day, and I would only get up to go to class. And I don't know if I was eating. They say I wasn't eating or whatever, but I don't really remember eating, or at least enjoying my food. So after so I'm still not sleeping at all, pretty much at all, or I'm sleeping in the daytime. I don't really know. I don't really remember. And so the semester ends, and I end up doing decent. I did have to drop a class, but school was really, really stressful. So then we get to fast forward to me coming home. See, I'm not sleeping and I'm not eating. So, you know, I'm not sleeping or eating. I forgot to mention that actually on one specific occasion when I was still at school, I actually went to this psych study because I needed it for a class or whatever. And they wanted me to rehash like one incident out of my life that was the most terrifying experience of my life. And so, of course, I had to rehash the whole issue with the guy. And they wanted me to write about it for like 5 minutes or whatever. So that's when all those feelings started bubbling back up, about this hatred of myself and, how I felt. And so after that, that same night, I had a panic attack. It's pretty horrible. It feels like you're dying. And so when I had my panic attack, I was alone. And of course, it was a terrible, terrible experience. But anyway, I go home and pretty much all hell breaks loose. And so I'm starting to see, I want to say the first couple nights, which I didn't sleep at all, I'm starting to see like things that aren't really there. And I don't know how to explain it like that in any other way. I see dark clouds and things in places that don't have dark clouds. So basically I'm just a little bit of hallucinating. And then starts the voices. And the voices are really, really horrible. The voices will tell you to kill yourself, when to do it, what to do, and people don't like you, and basically negative things. Basically everything that I had heard from that guy or whatever. And, you start to believe it, of course. So now I have to break it down into instances. And when I say I was doing these things, I don't mean I was actually doing it, because I was here. It felt like you're here, you're up here, and your body's doing all these other things. So you have no control. Like I had little to no control after a while. One of the instances, I think I woke up early and I was running back and forth through our house. And I think I was shouting something or I was saying something. But at the time I had Senegalese twists, which are long, and I started ripping all of them out. So that's how I got the bald spot that I talked about in a different video. And then on a different instance, I tried to run outside, and it was night. It was like early. But at this time, I'm still not sleeping. I'm still not eating. So I try to run outside, and I run down the street. And this is that same morning. It's the same morning of that. Run outside, and I look crazy because half of my hair is pulled out, or half of my Senegalese twists are out. And so some guy picks me up because I flag his car down, and he takes me all the way to like a side street or whatever. And my parents come back around and they pick me up and get me out of his car, because I was under the impression that my parents were imposters or evil or whatever. You're listening to the voices, which you're not supposed to be listening to. So then on a different occasion, another occasion was, which I think I don't remember all the occasions. So on a different occasion, I do have a church occasion one, which is, I don't know if I went to that one or not. But if I do, I'll come back and insert it here. Another occasion, which is separate, I woke up really, really early, and I think I was convinced that it was the end of the world or something like that. So I ran to, I was trying to get out of the house because I was convinced I was supposed to be doing something or whatever. So I'm running back and forth through the house. This is another one when I'm running back and forth through the house. And then I go in my room, I want to say, and I take all my clothes. Either I go in my room and I take all my clothes off, or I'm running through the house with no clothes on. Either one, I don't really fully remember. I'm not going to sit up here and say I remember all the incidents, but it was a lot. One incident I do remember was the night they took me to the mental hospital. So basically, I get up really, really early. I'm not sleeping. I decided one night I did sleep with my mom. I think that was the night of So I did sleep with my mom in her bed, but I'm not sleeping and I'm seeing things and I'm still hearing things and I cannot go to sleep. So I run and try to go outside, to run and go help somebody. I have delusional thoughts as like, you know, I should, the world's ending. This is what the voices were telling me. The world's ending, so I have to go out and, get naked or something like that and go have sex with somebody. It didn't make any type of sense what the voices were telling me. So I'm convinced that this is what I have to do. So I run to the door. My mom beats me to the door somehow. And so she takes me, but I guess she's like, her hand is like right there and she's like trying to get me not to go outside or whatever. And so I'm running. After that, I run back and forth throughout the house. So this is like at 3 a.m. or whatever. So people don't really sleep. Or I, of course, was not sleeping. I'm running back and forth in the house, yelling and screaming something, something, something. And I don't know if this is the same. I don't know this next part. I don't really remember if this. Well, I know this happened, but I don't know the time lapse. And my sister gets up and she starts whatever. And I try to tell her what to do. I try to tell her to put some music on or whatever. And then we get to, and then of course my mom somehow, and I'm still yelling and screaming, going back and forth. And I'm telling my mom, I'm telling my mom to, I don't know this. I'm also telling my mom things and I'm pointing and screaming and things. So my mom, of course, calls the ambulance. Police get there, they open up the door, and she tells them the situation. I do not remember this part, but somewhere between me running back and forth, I hit my mom with a chair and it splits her lip. Like her lip gets split. But I do not realize this until I'm in the mental hospital and I'm actually realizing what happened to me or what my body was doing. So basically, we get, the police come in, as I said before, and I guess they nail me to the ground or something. Somehow they diffuse the situation. And I get cuffed around my arm, or my wrist, and then around my feet. And they drag me, kicking, screaming, and yelling from our house. And I was pretty much traumatized. Well, I'll tell you my effects and the after story. But so after that, we get to, what do we get to? So they get me in the police car and I'm still yelling and screaming and I'm trying to jerk this thing off, like the chains off. So, what do? And we basically go to the mental hospital. Of course, they're driving me to the mental hospital. And that's the end of this story. So to hear the rest of my testimony, please stay tuned. It gets even more interesting from here. It's just been a far, far journey. I'm so thankful. I'm just so thankful. We just got to be extremely thankful 110% of the time, because there are people out here who went through the same thing I went through, but did not get through it. And they did not make it as far as I did. But I'm just so thankful. And to make a full recovery, it's amazing what God will do for you. Anyway, stay tuned for the next part where I tell how my mental hospital stay was. And then the third part where I tell the after effects of all of the things that I had gone through.